Since we're on the topic of family dinner, the placement of the family around the table does still matter, particularly the placement of the parents.
Okay.
The father should always have head of the table because that is his position in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Mother should sit to his right because that is the place for the queen. The king sits at the head and the queen sits to his right. I don't know when this started, or how, or by whom, but there is this idea, and nobody that I know actually practices this. Like, everybody is sensible, and all the married guys I know are like, well, duh, yeah, of course I'm going to sit next to my wife. Somehow there got started this idea that, that dad sits at the head of the table and mom sits at the complete opposite end of the table. Well, that's cold and informal and distant. And too formal and too distant. Dad here, mom here, kid here, kid here. Now, I understand wanting to look across the table at who you're talking to, but at family dinner, I want to be able to reach out and take my wife's hand or reach up and stroke her cheek. I want to be able to make a public display of affection to my wife in front of my children because they need to see that.
Yeah, they do.
They need to see that daddy loves mommy very much.
Yeah, and they can't do that if it's a family council and the kids are just, there watching.
And the youngest children should always sit immediately next to the parents. As a matter of practical advice.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable.
Now, if mom has to have the baby on her knee, or dad has to have the baby on his knee, that's one thing. But, the high chairs should be within reach of mom and dad.
Yeah.
Right here.
So, I'm the perfect test case for probably many people watching this, because my family growing up did the dad and mom across from each other thing. Mm-hmm. And who knows why? Who knows why they did that?
Who knows why? Some people do it. I'm not saying that it's bad that you did if you did do it, because that's just how people did it.
Yeah. So what you're representing as what should be done instead makes sense. But even for me, it requires a mental shift because of what I observed growing up.
Right.
And that would be true for anybody. But yeah, if I could choose, if I'm choosing for the sake of familiarity, I'm gonna choose what I've observed. If I'm choosing for the sake of warmth, I guess, as opposed to what you described as cold,
Yeah.
as well as a beautiful representation of the family structure, I'm going to pick your option.
Yeah. And the reason that I say that the younger children should be closer to the parents is because, the way that our dinner table was set up in my house was that my dad sat at one end of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first we had a round dinner table, and then it was just like a perfect circle. And then we would have people over, put the leaf in it, and then take the leaf out, and then put the leaf back in and take it out. And my dad finally got tired of doing that and said, okay, just leave the leaf in. But, so it was my dad there, my mom there, and my brother there, and me here. So I was across the table from my dad. And when I was really young, I was in reach of my mom, but when I was really young and really small and you're sitting across the table from your dad, especially a longer table, that just makes your dad seem so much bigger and so much more imposing and a lot scarier. So the times when he maybe barks at you a little bit to chew with your mouth closed, don't talk with your mouth full, which is technically the same rule, or not to scrape your plate with your fork, or whatever it is that he maybe has told you about, it just seems that much more intimidating because he is so big and imposing right there. But when the child is right next to you, also dad should be speaking gently to you. Unless the kid is far away, then you have to yell. But, when you're sitting basically right next to dad, within dad's reach, somehow in him being closer, even though when your dad is closer, you're more aware of the size difference, you still can feel his warmth.
He's just that much more present.
And he's within the reach in case he has to smack you upside the head.
There are these practical benefits.
But that is one of the reasons that I want my kids to be, the younger kids in particular, to be either near me or near my wife. Because then, when they're particularly young, then they can feel our warmth. And then that way, when I say, hey, don't chew with your mouth, don't chew with your mouth open, don't talk with your mouth full. Stop doing that. Even if I use a sterner tone, I am right here, and it's more personal than I am over here pointing down at you from practically across the room. Which not a lot of people think about, but you do have to think about these things. That is why there has to be a closeness of the family. There has to be a closeness of parents to their children. And that helps the discipline stick more than just the method of discipline itself.
And on the flip side of the discipline, it helps the love stick too.